So a skeuomorph is a design element in media or technology that's in a new medium that references an old medium. So think of something like the save icon, which looks like a floppy disk. You're not literally saving to floppy disk anymore, but that's sort of the representation of saving now. But even think about the fact that on our computers, we have files and folders and desktops. These are all metaphors that came out of the sort of world of the office prior to the computer being there. And they were initially a way to help people understand what this new medium was for, how to use it. We tend to encounter it a lot now when we talk about computers, but really skeuomorphs have been around as long as new media has existed. The first printed books, for instance, used fonts that were designed to look like the hand of medieval scribes. The reason I chose Skeuomorph for the name of the press is that I'm really interested in the ways that new and old media sort of commingle, the ways that new media is informed by old media, and the Skeuomorph is a shorthand to really get people thinking about how new media speaks back to or sort of reinterprets old media.
One of the things that you don't hear a lot in English is research or labs. Gives me a sense of like I'm doing something by coming here, like I'm working in the lab, I'm working at the press, and there's a physical effort to it that humanities majors often don't get to experience, especially in English.
One reason that I think it's so valuable for them to be thinking about this materiality is that a lot of our core cultural concepts of what makes a beautiful text, what makes a usable interface, a lot of these really grow out of the media that we have here that they can get their hands on. And I think that making it concrete rather than abstract gives them new avenues for thinking about design, for thinking about user interface, for thinking about presentation of even computational kinds of texts. The other reason why I think it's valuable is that it forces them to slow down. This is slower media than they're used to, and I actually think there's a value in having to think about a text in a slower, more contemplative way and really be quite careful about what you're trying to express, not just through the words that you're putting on the page, but literally how you're arranging those words, the colors that you're using, the imagery that you want to layer with that. And I think there's a value that resonates with a lot of students actually in slowing down, being deliberative, being careful, and I think it inculcates just new habits of mind that even if they never typeset again, I think are really valuable.
I'm an international student, so one of the things I didn't really understand was the indentations Americans use in their papers. But after coming to the press, realizing the weight of starting the first line of a paragraph just a little bit away from the left made me realize that maybe there is a beauty to indentation because it denotes like an effort. A skeuomorphic effort that others would have had to put lead in, I can just use my spacebar.
I think actually when students first encounter something like setting type, they first think, wow, this is so much slower. I could just type it on the computer much more quickly. And so part of the conversation is, well, what is a text that you think is worth the time, right? What is a text that you would want to put labor into to create a version of that is that both communicates, but it's also beautiful, right? And I think part of the work here is really helping students to step back and to consider things that they find valuable enough that they would want to put that work into and that time into.